What's up, guys? This is Teddy. Welcome to my YouTube channel. This video we're going to be talking about mocking explained simply with the FakeItEasy framework. So in our testing adventures today, we have, or maybe over the few days, maybe you've been kind of slowly watching these videos, we have talked about XUnit. XUnit, you pretty much can't have tests in the modern era without XUnit. I think that XUnit is absolutely pivotal. You have to have the XUnit framework. Fluent assertions, on the other hand, are going to be more of a nicety. You really don't need fluent assertions as a framework. It's very nice, and they give you very visual pleasing assertions. They give you really good exceptions, and FakeItEasy is going to be in kind of the category of XUnit. You may have thought I was going to say you didn't need mocking frameworks, but you absolutely do need mocking frameworks in modern unit testing. And the reason that you have mocking frameworks, and nobody's ever been able to explain this, but I'm going to try to explain this to you in one shot. I'm going to try to explain it in very simple terms. So let's look at some pretty, not the most complex code, more complex code than we've been working with. Let's look at this controller, and I'm just kind of assuming that you have been exposed to maybe MVC or some type of controller. I assume if you're watching unit testing, you're probably at least getting ready to become a junior developer if you're not a developer already. And you look through a controller and you see dependency injection, you see abstractions. This is an abstraction, and this is an abstraction because you could, in theory, take this code, like I'm just going to right click on this get all, and you don't really need, we don't have to have repositories. Like, repositories aren't absolutely crucial to software development. You don't actually need, but they make our lives a lot easier, and they abstract away a lot of the complexities. And when you have dependency injection, and when you have repository patterns like this, like you have functions being brought in from repositories, and you have functions being brought in from other areas, it makes it almost impossible to unit test without mocking frameworks. And let's just logically think about this. So you are running a unit test, and this unit test is going to execute this function. That unit test has no idea, unless you bring in this repository, that this code is even here. And to be honest with you, you don't want the mocking framework to be touching the database. You don't want mocking frameworks to be digging down, going into the roots of your code and going down into your abstractions, so to speak. Think of your code as like the roots of a tree. Like, they're going down into the ground, and as you go further down, there's more layers of abstractions, and then eventually you finally just hit the database and your code executes on the database. But you don't want your unit test to be hitting the database. In fact, that's going to be a different type of test. That's going to be integration testing, or even end-to-end testing. It's going to be more complex testing, and that's not in the realm of unit testing. So mocking frameworks are essentially going to go in, bring in these repositories, and spit out like fake functions. So let's just say, like, I mock this and this is executed. Essentially what's going to happen here is, instead of it actually executing and going down into the code, it's literally just going to fake it. It's going to mock it. That's why they call it mocking. Like, it's literally going to, I really honestly don't even know how it works. I can't even really explain to you like exactly how mocking frameworks work. I think it's like reflection or something. But what's essentially going to happen is it's going to exit this. It's going to, basically blow this away. It's going to return it with the actual data type that you want, and then the rest of your code can actually execute. Think about it like that. Like, it's just going to put like a fake club in here, and that's why FakeItEasy That's the reason they call it. That's why they call it mocking. That's why they call it fakes. You don't need to know the difference between a mock and a fake to, write a unit test. It might help, but you really don't need to. But what's basically going to happen is it's going to the code's not actually going to go down into your abstractions and execute. It's literally just going to go to that code. The mocking framework is going to essentially put the data that you're going to return, and then it's going to have it in that function, and that's how you're going to test. And if you think about it, you really don't want it going down into your abstractions anyway, because you need consistency. That's like the whole entire idea. Think about it. If you were actually hitting a database, you would be pulling different values, and the values would be changing even if you had a database, because if you had a test database, and a lot of companies do have test database, those values are still changing, and you can't have that consistency because it's actually executing on something. And that's the reason that mocking frameworks, number one, they're more convenient and they actually exist. So enough chit chat. We're actually going to build a real abstraction at this network utility, and I'm going to kind of show you how it actually works. So let's go ahead, let's go into here. We've got our test. Now we've got our network service. I'm going to bring this over here. So this is our actual code. This is these are our tests. So this is real code. These are tests that's actually being executed against. And right here we actually have we can mock this. This is actually being brought in as an actual object, and we're actually going to make changes to this because we're going to bring in a mocking framework, and this is actually for the best because this is going to make our lives a lot easier. Mocking is a little complicated at first, but look at it more as once you learn it, it's really easy. It's really not that complicated. It's just like a super weird idea that you kind of just have to get used to, but I guarantee you after you watch the rest of this video, it's going to make a lot more sense. So I'm going to use FakeItEasy. You can use mock. You can use in substitute. It really doesn't matter, but I've actually found FakeItEasy is actually one of the lesser known frameworks, and I think FakeItEasy, I call FakeItEasy like the iPhone of mocking frameworks. Like it just works. It never breaks, and there's a lot of magic going on, but I've done every single kind of test in the universe, and I think that FakeItEasy is the easiest and the most robust. It's like the iPhone. It just works, and I don't know, what algorithm is going on under there, but it just works, and I don't have to worry about anything. So that's what I'm going to use, and that's what I actually recommend people use. And I don't have any affiliation with these people either. So they probably wouldn't. They're probably like, there's just some random dude in North Carolina that's using our framework, and that's awesome. So okay. Let's say, and I'm going to bring this network service over here. Let's say I'm going to bring this network service over here. I'm going to bring the test over here, and we are actually going to create our own abstraction. Like I'm talking about the roots of a tree. Let's say we're actually going to do a DNS search. Like we're going to actually create our own abstraction. We're going to create our own DNS search, and it's going to be within our network service. So let's just say we're going to do a search DNS, and we're going to actually build out this search DNS thing. So, or just like a fake DNS search. So what we're going to go here, we're going to create a folder, and we're going to we're going to call this DNS, and we're going to call this in here. We're going to create an interface because this is, once again, we're coding to abstractions, and you also need interfaces because you can't mock a static class. You never want to use a static class, and you want to use dependency injection because you're decoupling your software. It is better in terms of inversion of control, and it's way better for unit testing. So we're going to go in here, we're going to call this IDNS, and we're going to make a very simple function over here. So what we are going to do is we're going to make that, let me see, okay, we're going to change that to public, and we're going to make a bool that returns send DNS, and it's just going to be very simple, and we need to make this an interface because it's an IDNS, and then we are going to actually create the actual class for our DNS. And I'm going to go ahead, close out of that, and we're going to call this DNS service. Kind of a unaesthetic class name, but just for we'll bear with it for this quick example, because we're really not even doing anything. We're actually going to start working on MVC here in a second, and we just need to learn, what mocking is, and then we'll be out of here. So don't worry. So we're going to go in here. We're going to implement this interface, and we're going to call this. We're just going to return true. So once again, just another fake function, and just for example's sake, we're going to go inside of our network service, and we're going to actually bring in an abstraction. Remember that. We're bringing in an abstraction, and the DNS service is almost like the roots. We're abstracting away, and we're going to actually bring in the send DNS into our network service. So this is where we're actually going to bring in send DNS. And we'll call this var DNS bool, or DNS success, and we'll assign it like that. Let me see here. And then we're going to actually bring in this IDNS interface. So we're going to bring in the IDNS right here. We're going to go, we'll just call this DNS. This looks absolutely terrible. I am aware that this does not look great. All right, so we're going to go IDNS, and for some reason it's not even bringing it in. It might be because of the name. All right, so we're going to hopefully be able to bring this in. Okay, great, it does work. So we're going to bring it in, and then we're going to control dot. We're going to assign a field. We're going to give this underscore, and we're going to use dependency injection in order to bring this in, and then we're going to bring it in right here. So DNS, and that's going to be our bool. So this is going to return true. Remember that this is going to return true, and then what's going to happen is if DNS success is true, return ping sent, else return false. And we want it to return, or we'll say failed, ping failed, or failed ping not sent. And that will be it. And hopefully that our fake DNS works. So we will go into, we're going to actually go into our actual unit test. I'm going to show you what happens when you don't actually, and I'm actually just going to close out all this. This is getting crazy. So we're going to close out. We've brought in our DNS, or we've brought in our DNS. Then we're going to go over here. We're going to bring this over here because we actually, we want to write the test. So the first thing is that whenever you are writing tests and they have dependencies, or they have dependency injection, is you actually want to bring in this stuff right here. And as you can see, this is already not working. It's already broken. And one of the reasons it's already broken is because we actually need to bring in the dependency. Now, what you could do is you could actually, come up here and you could bring in the DNS service, and then you could pass it into here, but that kind of looks like doo-doo. Like, I'm not even joking. Like, one of the reasons mocking frameworks do work is because it makes things look it is just better over, all around, and it does make things look a little bit better. So this is going to be the SUT. So we actually bring in all the dependencies, and if we want to be able to use this, and we want to use all of this abstracted away stuff, and we want our actual network service to be able to actually work, we're going to have to, pass in these dependencies in here. Otherwise, it's not going to work. So the way that we would do that is we would go in here and we would bring in the IDNS. So we bring in DNS and we would say new, let me see. So it'd be IDNS, but we can't do that because it's an interface and it's abstracted away to an interface, and we really don't want to do that. So what we would do is we're going to, once again, we're going to use FakeItEasy to fake it. So the best way to do this is you just go A, and I'll show you how cool it is. It's like, it's actually really cool. So you're just going to go in here, you're going to go A.fake. You're going to pass in this IDNS, and it's literally just going to create like a fake one. And you don't have to worry about whether it's like a fake or a mock or whatever, and you can actually bring in the interface. So you go in, use FakeItEasy, and then up here, let me see, we're actually going to bring in private read only. We're going to have IDNS. We're going to have this IDNS up here. And we're going to have DNS. And we're going to put an underscore under it so it makes it look a little bit better. Then we're going to actually have this up here just like that. And then it's going to put that up there so that we can pass it around and we can actually put it inside of this network service. So next, we want to actually pass this in. And because we have this DNS right here, we want to pass in the DNS, and it's going to look great. So now we actually have the ability to start faking and testing things because we have the ability to actually start executing on this. But if you run it, and I'm going to show you like what happens. Let me see. Let's see right here. And actually, it still should work. Like this test should hopefully, theoretically. So we're going to go in here. Yeah, and this test is going to fail. Let's see like exactly where it fails. So we're going to go into the debug. We're actually going to debug this test, and we'll see where it actually fails at. So we're going to go in here. It's going to go in here. It's going to return false. And it returns false because it doesn't actually have access to this. Let's see. We're going to go to the implementation, and it just doesn't have access to it. So it's going to return false even though it should be true. So it's going in here. It can't actually get to it, and the compiler is just going to assign a false to it because it doesn't actually know it's there. So like, how do we even get past that? Like, what's the protocol to get past that? And that's a mock. That's it right there. That's like the whole entire thing I was trying to get to. Hopefully you got that. So what's going to happen is we're going to go in here. We're going to go call to. We're going to go like this. I hope I just blew your mind. So we're going to go DNS. Then we're going to go .send DNS. And this returns true. And we will see, hopefully this works. Please work, please work. I'm doing a stream and I really don't want to re-record this or have to edit over it because it's annoying to do that. So we're going to go in here. Then we go in here. We're going to debug the test. Go down. So what's going to happen when we use this call to? It's going to mock it, and essentially it's going to go in here, and when this thing actually executes, it's going to blow it away, and hopefully I can get away with this, and just return this with true. So it's going to essentially just have that DNS success turn into a true. And I'm going to go ahead and get that out of there so it actually works. Then we're going to go down. We're going to step into it. All right, we don't actually step into it because it's not actually executing it. And if you look there, our true's there. So our function can actually run. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that beautiful? So it's actually going to be able to run. Oh my gosh, that is so cool. Hopefully our test passes. Boom! It passes. We're ready to rock. And Now we can actually move on to MVC, because hopefully you guys understand how mocking actually works, and we can go start mocking and doing unit tests in a production environment. Anyway, I hope that you guys enjoyed this. If you did, make sure to hit that like button, make sure to hit that subscribe button, and as always, thank you for watching.